Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road, and you're ready to go if you want to. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. Live Music Nation podcast, special festival edition. Today, we're with Michael Jacobi. Am I saying your last name right? And he is with Jazz at the Ranch. Michael, you still there? We got a little delay going on. All right, so Michael, Jazz at the Ranch, is that working for you?
It is. I'll tell you what, we just had our inaugural season
Oh, wow.
this summer. And to give you a little background, I produced Palo Alto Jazz Festival in the late 80s. It was Carmen McRae, Sarah Vaughan, so it was a big deal.
Nice.
And then I produced Jazz on the Plaza in Los Gatos for 20 years. And I lived down in Monterey.
Oh, we froze again.
In the late 80s, and it was quite high profile. We had Woody Herman, we had Carmen McRae, Sarah Vaughan, Kenny Rankin. So it was a nice production that lasted a couple of years. And then I ran Jazz on the Plaza in Los Gatos for 20 years.
Nice.
And I live south of the Bay Area, Monterey County.
Okay.
And there's a school down here called Rancho Cielo. Rancho Cielo is what you and I would probably call a trade school for young challenged young people.
Okay.
Different curriculum from automotive to culinary. And it's really a marvelous film. And interestingly enough, they have a 300-seat amphitheater, which is just this wonderful venue. They were only using for graduation. And I played golf with the principal, and I said, well, what do you use that place for? He goes, well, just for graduation, and the board's not real happy about it. I got an idea. So we started a jazz series there. So we started a jazz series there. And it's just, as I say, it's a marvelous venue. It is as intimate and comfortable a venue as you'll find on the West Coast. And it's like 300 seats. Talk about up close and personal. It's really marvelous and amazing sound.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. All right, well, let's jump into Jazz on the Ranch. Give us the origins on this.
Well, as I say, that's how it all came together. Okay. We just had our first year, including Monty Alexander, Paula West, Tony Lindsay, the former lead singer for Santana. So it was a good year, and we work in partnership with the Monterey Jazz Festival. So the inaugural season went quite well, and this coming year, I think it's October 18th through the 20th, we'll be doing a 3-day series. I'd love to let you in on who's playing, but it's a little early, and I haven't booked anybody.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's a benefit for the school, which is, as I say, is a wonderful a part of the community, and they do phenomenal work.
Give us some examples of the entertainment in the past you've had.
Well, as I say, last summer was our first year. Tony Lindsay, as I say, from Santana, Paula West, who is my favorite jazz vocalist in the world. If you've never heard her, you would love her. We had Bruce Foreman and a group called Cowbop, which from your hat would fit in very nicely.
Right.
Kind of a country swing.
Uh-huh.
And Monty Alexander, who's a wonderful pianist from Puerto Rico.
What create the visual picture for us here. People walk in the gates. What are they going to see?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can paint it, and I also literally can suggest if they were to go to YouTube and type in Jazz at the Ranch, it will show you an overview. of the venue and how it looks. But we had you could enter, and we would have restaurants set up, well-known restaurants throughout the Monterey Bay area, and they would have a little soiree, and then head into the amphitheater for the show. They're all director's seats set up, so you can bring in your drinks and food, and very, very comfortable atmosphere. As I say, you're looking over the Monterey Bay in the distance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, now listen, our listeners always like to know about food. Let's talk about food that is there. Give us some samples and give us some of the best that you think.
Well, the food was, as I say, supplied by local restaurants, and it varied from some caviar dishes to oysters. Obviously, Monterey Bay, a lot of seafood. But we had guys come out and do briskets and barbecue and do tacos. So it like the school itself was a classic example of diversity.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it for sure. You've put a lot of thought into this. You've put a lot of you mentioned the words of diversity and inclusion and variety when it comes to your talent. As a musician yourself, and so talk about your flavors. Talk about your personal taste, and so.
Well, I have to tell you, Jake. I was doing a television interview the other day, and someone said, "Well, now you're a musician," and I said, "Well, I play the microphone. That's all."
Yeah.
So I'm a good judge of what is going to appeal to folks. My background in 50 years in broadcasting, ran the first Triple Z Jazz. Triple Z Jazz, way before your time, was what ultimately became smooth jazz. And I'm sure the folks at Otis Elevator are thankful for that. And then have been involved with a show that I created called Raising the Standards. All jazz versions of great American songbook tunes. So I've done that for the last 50 years. And so my taste in music is pretty straight ahead. I'm a big Sinatra guy, and the Great American Songbook, and big Ellington, Basie. But I also love, different, as we're talking about diversity, I'm a big fan of Asleep at the Wheel, Bob Wills, and that kind of country swing. So we had a little example of that. Next year, we're probably going to talk to folks perhaps like Los Lobos. So it's kind of it's a great conglomerate of terrific Americana music.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, now a couple of fun questions. These are just for me.
Oh, fun questions.
Yeah. This is not business anymore. This is your questions for me, because I'm in live music and live entertainment. I just like to survey the nation as we go across. Your answers should be different than almost anyone we've ever heard before. I want to know what the best concert is you've ever seen.
That's a good question. I saw The Highwaymen.
Oh,
with Johnny Cash, Waylon, Willie, and Chris Christopherson, which was quite remarkable. Going back to I've seen Sinatra many times. I produced a concert with Chuck Berry and the San Jose Symphony Orchestra, which was great fun, and had them open with the strains of Beethoven's Fifth, and then he went and wrote over Beethoven, so it was insane.
Wow!
And I don't know if you remember a guy named Peter Allen, who was wonderful. He was married to Liza Minnelli and a marvelous entertainer. Saw him once, and which was a remarkable show. And I had a good fortune of Tony Bennett's daughter played in a concert in Los Gatos for me. She set my wife and I up with tickets, and got a chance to meet Bennett when he was 92 or 93, and just a remarkable voice. I was really astounded. You see those guys, you think, but amazing. So, and I'm sorry that I never saw any really. I saw a lot of old rock and roll people, Bo Diddley and people like that. Chuck, I saw Bill Haley in the Comets years ago, but I've seen Willie many times. But so
But
I
the
didn't really
Highwayman, that's probably your top.
The Highwayman was probably the most interesting show. Yeah.
Okay, so dead or alive, you get to see one musical act or artist. Who would you choose?
Well, I think, and that's one of those great sit around the cocktail table questions. And I don't know what you have found out in the past, but the most answers I hear are either Prince or Michael Jackson.
Okay, but what about you personally?
Personally, I probably would have liked to have seen Billie Holiday.
Okay, all right. For me, it's Sinatra, and from a country music guy. But if I just want to, like, if I just wanted to hear him, I just love to hear him in a lounge. Just no distractions, no amplifications, no modifications to his voice. I just want to hear. Man, I think it'd be fantastic. I think.
Well, it's a funny story, Jake. As I say, I used to see him a lot, and I would see him in Lake Tahoe in rooms that would be like small, really small, 400 or 500 seats. That you'd look at him, he'd look at you.
Yeah.
And I remember my daughter went to see Britney Spears, and she said, "Daddy, I got seats right near the screen." I said, "Well, you have to understand. I come from an era where you're actually with the performer. And
sure.
You're not saying watching the entire show." I'll tell you who I saw. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago at Madison Square Gardens was Billy Joel, which was a 3-hour show and amazing. But again, I spent $300 a ticket, and I'm probably 200 yards away.
Yep.
So it's just a totally different idea. The big venues, the big arenas, it's a totally different thing. I mean, jazz and music was designed to be played and viewed up close and personal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Michael, how do people find out more about Jazz at the Ranch?
Yeah, well, go to Rancho Cielo, YC.org. That's Rancho, RANCHOCIELO, YC.org.
Okay.
And it's and that will give you a little background. As I say, the easiest thing is to go to YouTube, and go to Jazz at the Ranch. My wife just wrote me a note, and I can't believe I'd forgotten this. I saw Elvis a couple times.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's so cool.
That was pretty great.
You have lived, my friend. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Hey,
Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for what you're doing. This is a real value to the jazz and to the live music community, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate you being on with us, Michael.
Yeah, take care.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old Jacobi.